Hello there and welcome to my channel. I am Katie, the Mountain Mystic, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. Whether this is your first time here or you are returning, I'm so happy to have you here with this video focused on embodiment work, specifically embodiment work within the Earth embodiment or New Earth embodiment space. A space where we get to come together to be in connection to self. Yes, this is about you, your connection to your body, your breath, your nervous system, all those parts of you that make you, you. So we get to bring conscious attention, awareness to this space that is you as we get to work through this beautiful vessel that you are, expanding outward, rippling outward into the whole of planet Earth that we are all part of, bringing into context here the communities, the ecosystems that we are part of that form the whole web of life here on planet Earth. So if you needed to know or wanted a little bit of a refresher, that's the context of what we're doing here. Today, what I have for you is, as usual, a grounding practice, a practice to get you out of your head, right? Out of the chaos of the world, a world that is programming us, right? Has programmed us, is continuing to program us, is really on this path of, what I like to speak to of as living from the neck up, living up in our heads, living connected to technology, right? And there's beautiful time to be in our heads and to be, focused on technology. And also what we are doing here is moving into a space, right? A grounded space, an embodied space where we get to recognize, right, as part of our humanity, that we are a whole human being. We are a whole human body. This world is not about mind over matter. It is about mind hand in hand with matter as we get to know ourselves as the physical beings that we are, right? Getting to live life in these human bodies that we are. And through this path, we get to remember ourselves in connection to the ecosystems, right? To this earth that we are all part of. And I do this for an important reason, right? I don't need to tell you, but I'm going to anyway. I don't need to tell you that our world is in wild times. We are in big times. To a significant degree, we are in dark times. We are witnessing life on planet Earth falling away, whether that is through active, intentional harm done by a lot of our world leaders right now, but also by a good chunk of humanity on a day-to-day basis. And also, we are in a time because of neglect, because of the way we have been living on planet Earth, that life in so much of its beautiful forms is dying out, is falling away. And I, as someone who lives in a mountain town where the forest was burned down when I was in kindergarten, and this forest never came back. I'm living in a mountain town that used to be this beautiful ponderosa forest that is in a desertification process. The trees have left, and the world is changing. The world is changing. And if you're here and still listening, then I'm going to assume that to some degree you are on the same page, that the way of being that us humans have chosen, that we have been taught and perpetuated, on this planet Earth is not okay. It's not okay because of the harm that is caused on so many levels. And we get to see this and the harm done to the ecosystems, to other humans. We also experience this and know this as the harm, the damage, the hurt that is caused within self. Call it mental illness, mental distress, call it physical illness. The fact of the matter is that it's normal in this day and age to feel terrible in our bodies. And I do not see this as separate from all the other big issues that are playing out in this world. I see them as all part of the same festering root system. And it is a root system which is getting a lot of attention because it is loud and causing a lot of harm right now. The way I see it and the vision that I ask for us to hold here is that it's doing so because it's dying out. Okay, we've been living this narrative, this worldview for hundreds, if not thousands of years that teaches disconnection, that teaches hierarchy with humans at the top of the pyramid. And with this power structure, we have learned, and through that learning, we live it, that we are superior to nature. And with this way of thinking, nature doesn't become the beautiful life form that it is, right? Another life form, just like us humans are a form of life here on planet Earth. But nature is seen for its utility, for its resources. We forget that there are living organisms that are out there, and that it's just a narrative. It's a narrative that lives within us, that manifests in very real damage to this planet. And since it's been going on for again hundreds or thousands of years, we have found ourselves at, shall we say, a tipping point where we are being asked loudly, powerfully to change our ways. And I don't want to go into talk of doomsday if we don't choose a different path, because I don't know if it serves to talk about that. But there is a truth here that if we don't, as a collective, choose to change our ways, to change our relationship to life on planet Earth, then I fear, and I also know, right, because I've seen the data, I've seen the climate science, I can look out my window and observe it directly, that we are going down a path of mass destruction, and it is not one that I want to continue to see. Just taking a deep breath there. Because if you're still listening to me today, then I know there's a part of you too that is also devastated by this and wants things to change. And the good news, which is why I continue to show up here, is because I know that things can change. I know that things can change because as humans, even though we have such power for destruction, we also have programmed within us this incredible power to change our minds. And in changing our minds, to change the trajectory, to change the path that we are following, that we are living, breathing, creating in this world. I know it because I experience it within myself on a daily basis. I experience it in others as I, observe the behavior of others in this world, or as I work directly with others through coaching or the circles that I hold, I know that we have the power to change our beliefs, to change our thought patterns, and in doing so, to change our behavior. It's more than behavior. It's more than behavior. I like to speak of a whole way of being, right? Being isn't necessarily about action. Yes, there is a behavior and action piece here. And also, there is a state change here. There is a change in presence. There is a change in awareness. As you walk through life, there is a change in what you perceive, how you perceive the world. Just breathing into that for a moment. What would it feel like to walk in the through the world, perceiving things differently? Maybe that looks like walking through the forest or walking through the city and perceiving life in a way that is more deeply connected, that brings you more joy, more heart-filled connection. Maybe there is a way that you walk through the world where instead of tuning things out, you are now tuned in to the way we cause harm to one another. And in being able to tune in just naturally, you're not trying hard to do this. You're just walking through life differently because you've hung out on my channel and joined me in Circle, maybe even joined me in the coaching space. And now there's a way of being in tune with the world where you're perceiving the world skillfully in a way that brings you joy, that brings you light, that fills you up, that connects you into what matters. Maybe what matters in that moment is the joy, is the bliss. Maybe what matters in that moment is tuning into a problem. I speak to this work, this body of work I do, as the embodied path. The embodied path, because it's not about living up in our heads, being driven through life by the pre-programmed narratives and belief systems that have been instilled within us by others. We walk through life with our head on our shoulders, in connection to the whole of who we are. And yes, our minds, they're powerful, they're incredible. So it's not about throwing out your head and your ability to think and make sense and meaning of the world. It's about walking through life, head on your shoulders, mind in connection to heart, in connection to soul. I say that, and when I use the word soul, right, this is embodiment work. So the way I teach it and the way I've been taught it, have experienced it, is it's like soul comes from deep down into self. So if I were to guide you into that soulful space, maybe I would guide you in through your heart, then guide you to drop down deeper into self. Here, getting out of your head as you drop down into self. You slow down your pace because you're not going to listen to soul when you're caught up in all the chaos of the world. All the notifications and the need to get to somewhere and the need to do the 300 things on your to-do list. You're not going to listen to soul when you're living life that way. When you can drop down into your body and then drop a little deeper, then maybe even a little bit deeper. Here, now, now is the possibility to actually be in tune with soul. And it is this space that I believe, and I believe this because I experienced this for myself. It's from this space, slowing down, disconnecting from the chaos of a modern, industrialized, capitalistic world. Getting out of your head as you drop down into self, putting your head on your shoulders in connection to heart, dropping down into soul. From this space, now you have the ability to tune into reality. From this space, you now have the ability to go walk through the forest, or else walk through the city, or move through your house, and be tuned in to what actually matters. To be tuned into life, the pulse of life, the breath of life. Life being lived, expressed in all its different forms. And that includes within self. This includes the ability to tune into what's alive, what matters within self. And that includes the ability to tune into life around you. So now as you walk through the forest or walk through the city or your house or workplace, now you are tuned into what matters. You are able to take in from the outside, oh, this is what matters. This is what I need to know. This is what I need to sense, perceive. And listening inward. Yes, here, this is what matters. This is what I need to sense, to know, to perceive. I speak a lot about the embodied path and how I speak to how we're sort of working in this sort of playground, right? In a lot of ways, the human experience is like this playground, right? Think about being a little kid, showing up to the playground, and there's just so many possibilities. Like, where do I go? Where do I place my attention? Where do I bring my energy to? And based on those decisions, based on your decisions, that's how different experiences are going to unfold. And we can walk through life, shall we call it unconsciously, where we are being ruled by the forces at play that have already been programmed within us based off of past experience, based on other people in our lives. We're walking through life being ruled by the voices of others, the wants, the needs, the demands, the teachings of others. So that's sort of one end of a polarity, right? Walking through life unconsciously, where we're not in control. We're not consciously making choices. We're just being ruled by the mechanisms at play, the forces at play. There's a way of living where we step into presence, where we become conscious to reality unfolding in every moment. We become active co-creators in this life that we are each living. And of course, we're never going to get to an end of the spectrum where we are actively creating every single thing that we want and desire. Yes, we as humans are powerful, but we are not that powerful. There are so many other humans and so many other life forms on this planet. And the game here is we all get to work together. So what you do over there is going to affect me to some degree. And my task in this life is not to control everything, to manipulate it all to my desires, but to be an active co-creation, to be in conscious co-creation, to respond consciously and with skill to what you're doing over there, to what all the rest of life is doing. And this is the skill that we get to develop as we walk the embodied path, is learning to be in active co-creation, conscious co-creation with all of life. And as we do it, and as we bring more consciousness to this path, me over here doing my work, you over there doing your work, the ripple effect, it's this whole community doing our work, the circles that we are all connected to doing the same or similar things. Together, we get to, shall I say, lift up the whole web of life, bringing more consciousness to it, bringing more of that heart and soul centered way of being to the whole web of life. And just taking a deep breath there, taking a deep breath there. There's a little practice that I want to do with you guys today. I think I've done enough talking. I can talk forever about this. I can take us down any sort of rabbit hole, which is why I bring you so many videos, so that I can keep speaking to whatever rabbit hole I want to that seems to serve on any given day. But today I want to bring you into a practice. Shall we call it a walk through the forest? This is one of my favorite practices, and I haven't done this on YouTube in quite some time, if ever. I don't know if I've ever done this on YouTube. This might have only been reserved for the videos, the practices that are sort of inside paid membership. So if you want more of this, know that there is more of this inside our paid membership. upwardslopes.com/library will get you there. You can access it for as little as $5 a month. I want to make it super available to you all, to get you all into practice. So here now, it's taking a moment to join me in practice. So shifting out of the world of thinking, talking, and into practice space. Slowing down as you breathe a few deep conscious breaths into self. If you're seated, feeling your seat on the chair, your sits bones in connection to the cushion beneath you. If you're standing, or regardless if it's relevant to you, feeling the soles of your feet in connection to the floor beneath you. Breathing all the way down into this connection with the surface, with the ground beneath you. Taking deep breaths into your body. Feeling into the three-dimensional expansion of your rib cage. With your next breath, maybe you breathe a little bit deeper and breathe into the expansion of your abdomen. And with this practice today, I want to take you on a little journey. This came up for me yesterday, but it comes up for me most days, because most days I find myself at some point out on the trails. Out on the trails here in my backyard forest. This backyard forest, this ponderosa forest, this pine forest, these tall pines with their red bark that have the most beautiful smell. Raspberry, vanilla. These magnificent ponderosas. I'm so honored to live in this ponderosa forest, this beautiful forest. And as I continue to speak, inviting you to keep breathing down into your body. You might close down your eyes and just welcome in any visualization that you receive here. beautiful pine forest. This pine, its red bark, this fragrance, raspberry, vanilla. The green needles wave and dance in the wind. So the hard truth about my hometown Ponderosa forest is that much, if not most, of it has been burned down. There has been wave after wave of fire in my lifetime. One of the worst ones is the one that came all the way into town. And it didn't burn the whole of town. So here in town, I can go out my door and walk through this pristine, this beautiful forest. Or I can choose to walk in a different direction, to enter the perimeter of town and to walk up the mountains. And as I take this walk, the dark, dense green of the forest falls away. And as I take this walk, this vibrant forest, this forest that smells of vanilla, raspberry, it falls away. And in its place comes the desert. Here the world opens up and blue sky expands from horizon to horizon. And as I take each step on the dry dirt, I take my gaze and I look around me. And out here, the forest floor is littered with skeletons. Skeletons of ponderosas that burned more than a quarter century before. I was in kindergarten. And these trees, these skeletons of these trees still remain because this land is too dry and the trees do not have the ability to decompose because the forest was burned too hot. The flames took not only the trees, but the whole web of life, the whole mycelial network, the bacteria, the fungus that breaks down life, this beautiful part of the process of life, the breaking down, the turning over to be made anew. It can't happen here in this forest because the fires burn too hot, and in doing so have taken this forest, my hometown forest, into a state of dormancy. Life stripped away, the vibrancy of the ponderosas gone, have left this planet. And in its place, the land lay dormant. Most of these trees, scattered, layered, fallen down upon the earth, remaining year after year after year, unable to decompose. Not all of the trees, not all of the skeletons, for many still stay standing. Over 25 years later, these great, tall skeletons of ponderosas still stay standing. It's a wild landscape, a wild landscape. Left here in this dormant state, this desertifying process. Because of humans have changed the face of our planet and have made decisions to light a match on the wrong day, to be irresponsible, to not take care, to be mindful of how our actions impact not only us, but the whole face of the planet. Let's take a moment to breathe back into self. Breathe back into self. And in this moment, I invite you to be guided into a landscape that seems a little bit more fully to you. Maybe it's a land you live on or a land that you've traveled to. And it's a land here now that wants to take you on a little vision, have an experience with you. So feeling into your body, feeling into your feet on the ground as you walk through this land, paying attention to where you are guided. What do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear here in this landscape? Is there beauty here? Is there destruction here? What is here? And in this moment, no matter where you are, no matter what's happening, I do invite you to turn your gaze towards the beauty here. For as I've learned, given all the different landscapes I've been honored to walk on this earth, from the dense rainforest to the high mountain, to the low desert, to the high desert, that no matter where I find myself, there is beauty here. So as you walk through this landscape, wherever you are, turn your gaze towards the beauty. For it is here. It is always here. As I walk this land, this burn scar, there's this experience that happens over and over again, especially in spring, the season I'm in now. I'm walking along this dry desert floor, and there are these skeletons of ponderosas just lying everywhere around me. And oftentimes there is thick thorn bushes around me because that's the only thing, one of the few things that's been able to grow up on this land. And also, walking along in this sandy, hard floor, I'll witness a flower or two or a whole bunch. Somehow, earth being still able to express beauty, bursting up through this dry desert floor. Flowers, white ones, yellow ones, purple ones. They might only be in bloom for a day or 2 or 5 before they fall away. But they're here, earth still shining forth in all her beauty. Start to close this practice. Returning into self, breathing into self, feeling into that expansion of your rib cage as you feel your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair. Maybe rubbing your hands together on your legs, on your arms. Taking your time to return to the room you are in, centering yourself in the room you are in. So I invite you to take this practice with you as you go on a walk, maybe out your front door, whether you live in a mountain town like I do, or whether you live in a town or a city. I invite you to take this practice with you as you go onto the trails. And as you do, taking with you this knowing that we have the power to create our reality, not fully. I don't have the power to restore the forest to the glory that she was before the fire. But I do have the power to choose whether I walk through the pristine ponderosa forest or whether I walk out on the burn scar. And as I'm walking, I have the choice to look for life expressing in her beautiful forms. And in my witness of what is alive already on this planet, I have the choice. I can choose what I do in this world. Do I choose to create more beauty? Do I choose to support the ability for life to come into form, to express this beautiful, radiant, all her different forms? Is that my choice as I walk through life? And if you're still here with me, I so hope that that is indeed your choice, to walk through life, choosing life in all her beautiful expressions, to live it, to be that life yourself, expressing in your beautiful forms, to support that life growing, expressing around you. And if you can do this, and if we can all do this, then I know we have the power to change the face of this planet Earth. It is so within our realm of possibilities. It's not even far off. It's right here. It begins with your conscious intention, followed by aligned action to do so. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes. We'll restore our forests. We'll restore the mental, physical health of our bodies. We'll restore our oceans and all the life inside of those. All the faces of this earth. Whew, taking one more deep breath. This was fun. I had none of this planned for today. I never have a plan coming into these videos. This is fun. I'm so happy to still be with you here in this video. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. Let me know what this experience was like for you. If you're watching this before Tuesday the 29th, join me in Circle, 12 p.m. noon Mountain Time for Circle. Make sure you're on the newsletter so you hear all about that. If you're listening afterwards, go to upwardslopes.com/circle so you can find out when the next one is. So many good things happening in this space. I'm so happy to be here with you today, and I look forward to catching you in whatever the next space is that we find ourselves in.